Unless you're new to this channel or you've just not been paying enough attention, you should know that I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. Like the Legend of Zelda series, it manages to combine fantastic gameplay, an engaging story, and some incredible music into some of the greatest games of our generation. Today we're looking at the best of the best. Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 4 are arguably the best games in the series, although the original Metal Gear Solid goes some way towards challenging that. The games in question are exactly what makes the Metal Gear franchise such a unique success amongst gamers. In fact, these two games are two of my favourite games of all time, so it's going to be difficult to split the two. Same rules as in Ocarina of Time vs Majora's Mask, with a tie being settled by my own opinion. This is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater versus Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. Let's get this thing started. If you peel away all the coats of glory and in-depth character development, these games play pretty much the same. I guess you could say that Guns of the Patriots is slightly more of an action game than Snake Eater, but they both combine tactical espionage and action in a delicate balance. But I'm giving it to Snake Eater because of the realism that it implements. You see, Snake Eater has you fighting off hunger and injuries as well as the bad guys of the Russian jungles. And then there's the camouflage index. Being situated in the dense jungle signifies that you have to be pretty clever with how you hide yourself, hence why the camo index works so well. By comparison, the individual camo suits that are available in Snake Eater are effectively made redundant by the Octo camo in Guns of the Patriots, which automatically adjusts your camo to the environment around you. Also, I can't help but feel that Guns of the Patriots aim for cinematics over gameplay. For example, the incredibly moving microwave tunnel scene near the end is very emotional. But you have to spam the triangle button to move Snake along, which in the end is not a great gameplay element. So it's a relatively easy win for Snake Eater, and that's without talking about CQC. This is an impossibly difficult decision. The big overall story in the Metal Gear franchise is one of gaming's greatest ever tales, so choosing between two games with wonderful stories is gonna be kinda tricky. First, let's look at Snake Eater. Naked Snake is sent out to Russia in order to stop the Shagohod, a deadly nuclear tank and favourite toy of Russian sadist Colonel Volgin, and to kill the boss, a former mentor of Snake who defected to Russia from the US. Along the way, Snake encounters members of the Cobra Unit, a group of supernatural soldiers that fought alongside the boss in World War II. As for Guns of the Patriots, it centres on Solid Snake, who is suffering from rapid ageing as a result of being a clone, and is sent on various missions in order to stop Liquid Ocelot from hijacking a system that controls each and every soldier through nanomachines. Old Snake's pursuit of Liquid leads him to the Middle East, South America, Eastern Europe, and even Shadow Moses Island from the original Metal Gear Solid. Looking at it closely, for me at least, it's Guns of the Patriots that takes this by storm. While Snake Eater has a hell of a great story, Guns of the Patriots is the subject of so much character resolution, and frankly, it's one of the most depressing stories ever told, with many characters dying or suffering throughout. I mean, Snake, this previous deity among men, is seen to have a weak spot, and quite a big one at that, and yet he continues his job like a true soldier. It should also be praised for what they did to Raiden. The Raiden of Metal Gear Solid 2 was one of the most unlikable characters in the series, but after years of trying to find himself, he returns in Guns of the Patriots as a totally badass ninja thing. Kojima is very finest. I was going to do something like I did for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, where I compared my two favourite pieces of music from both games, but to be honest, it really isn't worth it. This one is a total landslide. Now granted, two of my favourite ever pieces of video game music are from Snake Eater, but this category goes to Guns of the Patriots.
say mad, hey night, let me show say mad.
This is a strange one to decide on because it all depends on what you define as iconic. In terms of what it brought the gaming world, neither really introduced all that much. But in terms of the Metal Gear series, they're both pretty important, with Snake Eater being the first entry into the franchise chronologically, and Guns of the Patriots being the last entry into the main series. It's a difficult one to decide on if I'm honest, but I'm going with Guns of the Patriots. It's considered by critics one of the most technically brilliant games ever made. Snake Eater, while one of the greatest games of all time, it didn't sell as well as even Metal Gear Solid 2, and as a result, it's regarded as more of an enigma in the series. However, you could argue that it was Snake Eater that brought in some of the key gameplay elements in the series, such as the free camera and CQC, but I'm going with the impact in the gaming world, so it goes to Guns of the Patriots.
Say mad.
There is a reason why I didn't go into too much detail about the boss and Liquid Ocelot when talking about the story. These two characters are two of the most well thought out, complex, developed and brilliantly implemented villains in gaming history. The boss takes the role of Naked Snake's former mentor and defects to Russia. During confrontations with Snake throughout the game, both individuals go through incredibly complicated emotions as they cope with the task at hand. It's only at the end of the game when you truly appreciate what a fantastic design the boss was. Because you see, the boss defected to Russia in order to help the US find the Philosopher's Legacy, a jointly amassed fund that is used to finance wars. Snake must kill her in order to prove that the US wasn't involved in the nuclear explosion at the beginning of the game, and that the boss is acting on her own and not as a part of the US's big plan to steal the legacy. In the end, the boss dies as a war criminal to both the Americans and the Russians. Liquid Ocelot is the sum total of all the previous villains in the series except for the boss. Having had his arm chopped off as Revolver Ocelot in MGS1, he attaches Liquid Snake's arm in Sons of Liberty, which then proceeds to take over his mind and gives him the persona of Liquid Snake. In Guns of the Patriots, he is attempting to take over the minds of soldiers worldwide, in pursuit of removing the Patriots and freeing Big Boss. In order to do this, he tries to destroy an AI called JD by firing a nuke at its satellite. He would then take over the Patriots with his own snazzy AI called GW, right up until the point where Snake uploads a virus that destroys not only GW, but all the other AIs too, destroying the Patriots' tie to the world. As a character, he is a great combination of the mentalities of previous Metal Gear antagonists. He manages to combine the ruthlessness of Revolver Ocelot with the flamboyant nature of Liquid Snake and Major Ocelot. And hearing him say "brother" in the first act is brilliant. Neither of these can be really considered antagonists due to the role they play in the overall plot. The boss was just doing her duty, even if it meant turning her back on her own friends and comrades, while Liquid Ocelot's main goal was to free the world from the regime of the Patriots. So on character alone, I'm going with the boss. I remember during the game's debriefing when I heard the revelation behind the boss's actions, And while you can see hints of emotional turmoil throughout the game, it is still a huge shock to the system to hear just what she sacrificed for her country. Hideo Kojima's main theme throughout the Metal Gear series has always been about political corruption and the futility of war, effectively fighting over nothing. And the whole situation surrounding the boss and Snake Eater is arguably the best example of this.
C'est même.
This is another difficult one. It all depends on what experience you are looking for from a game. If you are genuinely looking for a video game that will embrace you, challenge you and thrill you to the very end, then Snake Eater is by far and away the best option, with its fantastic gameplay and pretty incredible story. Guns of the Patriots, meanwhile, is the culmination of every game in the series, and if you've already played the previous three, it's a wonderful nostalgic experience. There are references all over the place to pop culture, as well as previous Metal Gear games. Hell, there's a whole level situated in Shadow Moses, with Metal Gear Solid references coming out the wazoo. But, and here's the problem with Guns of the Patriots, when you strip away all the glitz and all the cutscenes that, in the end, make up a great chunk of the experience, content is pretty limited. I've heard many quotes such as, "You don't play MGS4, you watch it," and MGS4, one of the best movies ever made, and I think they sum it up pretty nicely. Guns of the Patriots is very story based and focuses so much on concluding the series in the best manner possible that the game behind it is nothing too special. Snake Eater manages to combine a compelling story with genuinely intriguing gameplay elements. To put it another way, I prefer playing through Snake Eater with the cutscenes skipped than I do Guns of the Patriots. Not only do you not have to have played the previous games to get the full experience from Snake Eater, but it's a resoundingly successful introduction to the series, hence why it's ideal to start with if you want to get into the franchise.
C'est même.
So yeah, it's another draw, which means I'm going to have to split it on my opinion and my opinion alone. Snake Eater is a very confined game that uses improved gameplay from Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and a story that is surprisingly easy to understand given the Metal Gear norm. However, the writing behind Guns of the Patriots has no rival. Okay, yes, the story is about as complicated as it gets, and you really need to have followed the Metal Gear series from the start to get the full impact. Being a constant fan of the franchise, I found Guns of the Patriots a really good game, and I didn't mind most of the gameplay or the subsequent lack of it. However, when you compare it to the near flawless gameplay of Snake Eater, mesmerising story, spectacular music and wonderful characters, it just looks slightly out of its depth, even with all its cinematics. This has been Rabbit Luigi, and my favourite game of all time is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Thanks for watching, and be sure to watch the next video game matchup, Super Mario Sunshine vs Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Take care, and I'll see you next time.